Apple is on the verge of releasing its most beautiful, most elegant, and potentially its most frustrating iPhone ever. A device so thin, so futuristic, it feels like it has been pulled directly from a science fiction movie set. But this incredible feat of engineering, this relentless pursuit of thinness, comes with a dark and devastating secret. A compromise so significant that it could render this stunning piece of technology practically unusable for millions of people. The biggest weakness of the upcoming iPhone 17 Air has been revealed, and it all comes down to a single number. A number that should send a shiver of dread down the spine of anyone who has ever watched their battery icon turn a terrifying shade of red. Today, we are diving deep into the bombshell leaks surrounding the iPhone 17 Air's battery capacity. We are not just talking about a minor downgrade or a small step back. We are talking about a potential catastrophe for daily use, a design choice so radical, so aggressive, that it might just backfire on Apple in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. In this investigation, we will uncover the shocking leaked battery numbers and explain what they truly mean for you, the user. We will place this number in stark, brutal context, comparing it directly to what you get in other iPhones, revealing a performance gap so massive it is genuinely hard to believe. We will also dissect Apple's supposed fixes for this self-inflicted problem and ask the tough question: are they genuine, innovative solutions, or are they just clever marketing spin designed to cover up a fundamental, fatal flaw? And finally, we'll explore the very soul of this decision, probing the psychology and strategy behind it. Why would Apple, a company known for user experience, knowingly and willingly create a flagship device that could die before your workday is even over? It's a story about obsession, compromise, and a high-stakes gamble that could redefine the future of the iPhone. For years, Apple has been on a crusade, a holy war against thickness. This philosophy was etched into the company's DNA by its legendary former design chief, Johnny Ive. This wasn't just a preference, it was a core tenet, a fundamental belief that the ultimate form of technology is one that is invisible, weightless, and seamless. It's a philosophy that has, at times, been both brilliant and borderline hostile to the user. It led to the removal of the headphone jack, forcing users towards wireless audio or cumbersome dongles. It led to the controversial butterfly keyboard on MacBooks, a design so thin it was notoriously unreliable, all in the pursuit of shaving off millimeters. The iPhone 17 Air appears to be the most extreme manifestation of this ideology yet. It is Johnny Ive's ghost haunting the design labs of Cupertino, pushing engineers to sacrifice the most practical, most essential component, the battery, on the altar of thinness. The new iPhone 17 Air is poised to be the pinnacle of this obsession. The Air moniker itself is a promise of lightness, of elegance, of a device that almost disappears in your hand and your pocket. Imagine a phone so slender, it makes current models look chunky and archaic. That is the dream Apple is selling. But dreams, as we know, can sometimes turn into nightmares. The brutal reality of this dream came crashing down through a series of credible leaks, most notably from sources like U1122 and Instant Digital on Weibo, who have solid track records. The news they delivered was simple and terrifying. The battery capacity of the iPhone 17 Air, and I quote, does not exceed 3,000 mAh. Other whispers have pinpointed the number even more precisely, suggesting it could be as low as 2,800 mAh. 2,800? Let that number sink in for a moment. To the average person, milliamp hours, or mAh, might just sound like technical jargon, but think of it as the size of your phone's gas tank. It's the raw physical capacity that determines how long your device can run before it needs to be refueled. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. The power demands of a modern flagship smartphone are astronomical compared to just a few years ago. We have larger, brighter screens with incredibly fluid 120 Hz ProMotion technology. We have power-hungry 5G modems constantly searching for the best signal. We have processors that are powerful enough to edit 4K video and play graphically intense games. We have always-on displays and complex background processes for artificial intelligence features. The gas tank isn't just getting smaller, the engine is getting bigger and more powerful every single year. A 2,800 mAh battery might have been acceptable in an iPhone 8, but in a flagship device for the year 2025, it is an act of willful sabotage. To truly grasp how catastrophic this is, we need context. Let's compare it to its siblings and predecessors. The iPhone 17 Pro Max, the powerhouse of the same lineup, is rumored to pack a battery of around 5,000 mAh. That means the sleek Air model could have nearly half the battery life of its bigger brother. But the most damning comparison comes from looking at last year's models. The more comparably sized iPhone 16 Plus, a phone beloved for its battery endurance, came with a whopping 4,674 mAh battery. Let's do the math. A 2,800 mAh battery in the iPhone 17 Air would be a jaw-dropping 40% smaller than the battery in a similarly sized phone from the previous generation. 40%! This isn't a small incremental change. This is a leap backwards. It's like trading in a car that gets 600 miles to a tank for one that gets 360. You would feel that difference every single day. Let's widen the lens beyond Apple's own ecosystem. Look at any flagship Android phone from a competitor like Samsung or Google. You will find batteries that are consistently in the 4,500 to 5,000 mAh range. These companies have understood a simple truth. For the vast majority of users, endurance trumps elegance. People would rather have a phone that is a millimeter thicker but can reliably get them through a long day and a night out than a supermodel thin device that causes constant anxiety. Apple, with this move, is not just taking a step back from its own standards, it is placing itself at a massive, almost laughable disadvantage against its chief rivals in the single most important metric for everyday usability. If the very thought of being stranded with a dead phone in the middle of the day gives you anxiety, do us a favor and hit that like button. It seems battery anxiety is a feeling Apple wants us to get reacquainted with, and we think that's a conversation worth having. Imagine what this 40% deficit means in the real world. You're a student on campus. You unplug your shiny new iPhone 17 Air at 8 in the morning. You attend a few classes, maybe browse social media between lectures, listen to some music on your way to the library. By 2 in the afternoon, you're already getting that dreaded 20% remaining notification. You're a traveler, exploring a new city. You're relying on your phone for maps to navigate, for your camera to capture memories, for translation apps to communicate. By late afternoon, your essential travel tool is a dead brick, and you're lost. You're a professional. You're hopping between meetings, answering emails, coordinating with your team on Slack. You have a dinner meeting after work. You look at your phone, and you realize it won't even make it through the commute, let alone the rest of your evening. This is the reality that a 2,800 mAh battery creates. It's a world of constant compromise, of dimming your screen, of turning off features, of perpetually hunting for a power outlet or carrying a bulky power bank. It turns your liberating wireless device into a tethered one. So what is Apple's grand plan to solve this problem that it created itself? The leaks suggest a two-pronged approach. First, software magic, a new feature supposedly coming in iOS 26 called Adaptive Power Mode. This sounds fancy, but let's be clear about what it likely is. A more intelligent version of the low-power mode we already have. It will work in the background, learning your habits and aggressively throttling your phone's performance to save juice. It will likely dim your screen, reduce the refresh rate of the beautiful display, limit background app refreshes, and slow down the powerful new processor. You will essentially be paying a premium for top-of-the-line hardware that you are actively discouraged from using to its full potential. The beautiful, smooth 120 Hz display? The software will likely knock it down to 60 Hz to save power. That lightning-fast chip? It will be running at a fraction of its peak capability most of the time. It is the technological equivalent of buying a Ferrari and being told by the manufacturer that you must drive it in first gear everywhere to conserve fuel. It's a solution that fundamentally undermines the very value proposition of a premium device. The second part of Apple's solution is even more cynical. According to the reports, the company will conveniently offer a new, redesigned battery case accessory specifically for the iPhone 17 Air. Let's trace this logic. Step 1. Apple designs and sells you an exquisitely, impossibly thin phone, marketing it as a marvel of portability and design. Step 2. You realize this beautiful device can't reliably last a full day. Step 3. Apple sells you another expensive accessory, a bulky, heavy case with a battery inside it. A case that completely negates the phone's primary selling point, its thinness. This isn't just a cynical business move, it's a pattern of behavior. Remember AntennaGate with the iPhone 4? The official solution was for Apple to sell you a bumper case to fix a fundamental design flaw in the antenna. Remember BendGate with the iPhone 6 Plus? Users found their thin phones bending in their pockets, with the unspoken solution being a rigid, protective case. Now, we are seemingly on the verge of BatteryGate, where the official Apple-branded solution to a deliberately undersized battery is an expensive, clunky battery bumper. It's a strategy that displays a certain level of contempt for the customer, assuming that they will be so captivated by the initial design that they will happily pay extra to fix the problems that design creates. This leads us to the biggest question of all. Why? Why would Apple do this? It seems to fly in the face of everything we know about user needs. One theory is extreme market segmentation. Perhaps the iPhone 17 Air isn't meant to be for everyone. Perhaps it's a new kind of luxury product, a fashion iPhone. This isn't a device for the person working a 12-hour shift or backpacking across Europe. This is a phone for the executive who is chauffeured between meetings, for the socialite hopping between cafes and cocktail bars, for the individual whose life is a curated series of short-duration, high-impact events, always near a MagSafe charger. It's a phone designed to be seen, to be held up as a status symbol, its primary function being its aesthetic value rather than its utility. The battery life, in this context, is a secondary concern, an acceptable trade-off for owning the thinnest, most exclusive-feeling iPhone on the market. It's a bold, and some would say elitist, partitioning of the user base. In this scenario, the power users, the people who need performance and all-day battery life, are being aggressively pushed towards the much larger and more expensive iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max models. It creates a clearer, albeit more frustrating, product ladder. Another theory is that this is simply a gamble. Apple is betting that the cumulative effect of a more efficient chip, a more advanced display technology, and the new adaptive power mode will be just enough to make the battery life acceptable for a certain segment of the population. They are willing to risk the reputation of the airline on this bet, perhaps believing that the sheer beauty and novelty of the thin design will be enough for people to forgive its primary shortcoming. It's a high-stakes bet on what users truly value more, form or function. For years, the answer has been a balance of both. The iPhone 17 Air threatens to shatter that balance entirely. It presents a stark choice for the consumer. On one hand, you have a device that represents the pinnacle of industrial design, something that feels truly new and futuristic. On the other hand, you have the gnawing, ever-present anxiety of a device that can't keep up with your life. The battle between design and endurance, between beauty and practicality, is reaching a fever pitch within Apple's own product line. To see how this dramatic story unfolds and to get the final, hands-on verdict when the phone is eventually released, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You will not want to miss our full review and battery tests. The iPhone 17 Air is shaping up to be a conversation starter, a device as beautiful as it is controversial, as desirable as it is flawed. It forces us all to ask ourselves a fundamental question about our relationship with technology. What are we willing to sacrifice for the sake of beauty? The only question that will matter in the end is this: will the iPhone 17 Air's stunning design be enough to make you forgive its greatest sin?